shade.
Please repeat again. So, welcome, Martha. I am Lars, and the gentleman who just left to close his shades is Bob. And we just wanted to hear a little bit more about you. We've all wanted to welcome you to this very small and intimate session at the moment. We're going to wait a few more minutes before we start any slide decks and things like that, just to see that we have a few more people.
And Martha, while we wait, can you, why don't you introduce yourself, tell us where you're from and what's your, what area you work in?
Okay, thank you. I'm Marta Jimena Galvis Plazas from Colombia. I'm working in Red Clara, and I speak in Spanish. And now I try to understand the conference in English. Thank you. And I working now in information system and open sites.
Good, welcome.
Thank you.
This is small, so we would normally make you wait hours before we let you ask a question, but this time we'd like you to ask questions at any time about any of the slides, and we'll help you. Do you work in particular, before Lars starts the slides, do you work with healthcare data, or do you work with more general data?
Now we are working in a net about telemedicine. The name is Rute ALC. That is an integration of different universities about telemedicine in Latin America and the Caribbean. And the objective of the net is work together to improve the access of the information and improve the health in the region.
The health?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. So there'll be, and why don't we, Lars, we
Yeah.
could be nice to people since there are not that many people. Why don't we start by going to the spreadsheet, and maybe, Nina, that's you, where she can add, we can show her where she could add her name and her, so we can talk. She could be part of the interview process. As you hear, there'll be an interview process where we're reaching out to people who work in healthcare commons or healthcare information, and to people they know, and there's a list. Nina, maybe you could put that spreadsheet in the chat.
Yeah, that would be really nice.
And then Martha can add her name. Martha, do you see that spreadsheet in chat?
Yes.
Why don't you add your name there, and then why don't you add your name to the list of collaborators, which is here. Wait a minute. Maybe I can do that.
Yeah, you can share and show.
No, I can't copy her name.
But you can share where we should add it.
Okay, let me do that. Martha, can you see this?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to let you add your name. Why don't you add the rest of your name and your institution here, okay? You see that?
Thank you.
And then that link is in chat. I'll wait till you start that.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll bring up the other document. And this is an important document because you should add the name of your initiative. Oh, I have to share. This link is also in chat. And you should add the name of your initiative, the country Colombia, 3-letter country code. Okay, we could probably figure that out, but they want you to add a 3-letter country code and your contact name. And we'll put you as part of an interview process to so we can gather information about Health Data Commons. And after you do these 2 things, you could stop worrying because you would have done something pretty important for our working group. Martha, do you have any questions before we start the presentation?
No, now I fill out the format, and for if I have any question, I ask for it.
Okay.
You. Thank you.
Excellent.
And because it's a small group, you could choose any number you want between 42 and 52 to put your information. All right, Lars, over to you.
Yeah. All right.
I'll
I'll
stop
start
sharing.
Yeah, I'll start sharing the presentation, so Martha can have an insight to what it is we do. And of course, I do that like so. Do I share the correct thing? Doesn't seem so. Let me try again. Share. Screen 2. Share. Perfect. Now it clicked at least, so it should show. And then you see slideshow like that. So sorry for the delay, but here we are. So this is the Health Data Commons Global Open Research Commons Profile Working Group. And what we want to share is a little bit where we're at the moment and what we want to have help with. There is a link to the group webpage, which is also will be in the collaborative notes, where you can sign up for the working group if you want to contribute in other ways than being kind and responding to our questionnaires and questions when we want to talk to you, learn more about your initiative. So we're going to go through this probably a little bit modified, since you can choose a little bit more, but we will have a short introduction. We'll take about 10 minutes. After that, you should know roughly what this group is about. Then we will have an introduction to why we're making a questionnaire for Health Data Commons. Then we'll have a little bit of a discussion together to see if we can further our questionnaire. And then there will be a short scoping review, talk about the scoping review, which is currently on hold, but that's why it's so short. And then Bob will take over and talk to you more about the community review and contact lists, and a little bit about open pitches, where we just have an open discussion about what we think we can do together. And then there will be a short end where we'll sort of show where we're at the timeline and where we see us going forward. So for the introduction, part 1 here, I thought we'd talk a little bit about what the objective is and of this working group. This working group, shortened for VG, in this shortened to WG. This is something you will see a lot in this group. There's a lot of abbreviations because all of the things have very long names. So this working group is to develop a fair, comprehensive, and trustworthy health data commons profile of the GORC model for cross-ecosystem semantic and technical interoperability and data reuse health centers. Basically, it's a way to add a flavor to the Global Open Research Commons model that is focused on health data, so that it fits for health data commons like the initiative that you have. Okay, what happened there? Now I will show you a short movie, which CJ Woodford, who is the sort of initiator and lead of this of the Global Open Research Commons, and he will give a short 5-minute presentation of what that means. Let me see if I can find the movie. There we go. This is it. Perfect. And
My name is CJ Woodford. I am a co-chair of the GORC interest group and the International Implementations Working Group. And I'm here to give you a short introduction to what GORC is and some of the background that led to the Health Data Commons GORC Profile Working Group. Unfortunately, myself and my other co-chairs from the GORC interest group and International Implementations Working Group aren't available to attend in person, but we're really looking forward to the outcomes of this session. And so I hope you have a great discussion. The very first thing we'll cover is what is the Global Open Research Commons. The Global Open Research Commons, or the idea of a Global Open Research Commons, would be to have research objects and services and the platforms needed to do research available to everyone, everywhere, at all times, with the appropriate privacy and security protocols in place. So essentially, really giving this frictionless access to researchers to do the work they need to do. Thinking of this goal, the GORC interest group was created within the RDA to bring commons together to figure out how would they actually get to this pinnacle. They tasked themselves with a roadmap to figure out that how, but they figured out very quickly that they actually needed to develop some working groups or start some working groups to say what goes into that roadmap, or how would we get to the roadmap in the first place. So the working groups have been created to determine the model, which is now complete, but then also profiles, mappings, other implementations, and facets of that model and that work, which are at the commons level. So individual commons levels would use some of these outputs from working groups. These outputs feed into the roadmap to say, well, how would you do it now at a larger scale? And that roadmap is intended to tell you how do we get to the GORC. So we're still very much working in the working groups to figure out this groundwork and to assist individual commons before we move up to this larger level. Some outputs we have already are the interest group typology and definitions, which define what a commons was, as well as the essential elements of commons. And so essential elements are aspects that commons would have something in each one to then do what they need to do. And so some of the human aspects are governance structures, engagement, sustainability, rules of participation and access, and human capacity. And the technical aspects are ICT infrastructure, research objects, services, and tools. And these things are connected together and outside with standards and conventions, which is that central element. The International Model Working Group, which was the first working group, was then tasked with creating a model that would dive into each of these essential elements and determine what is actually what would be in each one. So it's not prescriptive. And it's intended to be a set of considerations that commons can take something from each essential element and implement to be more interoperable at work. So we did develop a model that was supporting output at first in 2023 and is now an RDA recommendation in 2024. And this is accompanied by a narrative report, which again is narrative and is a little bit more friendly to start in with if you haven't looked at the model yet. So I recommend starting with the report if you haven't looked at the model, but the model is in fact the main output. So that previous work in the International Model Working Group is now complete. That's where International Implementations or GORC2 Working Group is now taking up the mantle, in addition to the Health Data Commons Profile Working Group. So what is a commons? Commons is a global trusted ecosystem that provides seamless access to high quality interoperable research outputs and services, and includes the social and technical elements that work together towards that interoperability. Again, we saw our human elements and our technical elements in our typology. So for a health data commons, this would be a class of commons that have their own specific considerations when it comes to health and biomedical data and research. So you're going to have a lot more considerations or shared considerations around privacy, consent, and confidentiality, and specifically when it comes to things like sharing data. The idea of a profile came up to kind of help address how do different classes of commons address their own specific needs. And so it's essentially an implementation map of the GORC model for a specific class or for a specific commons. So the health data commons GORC profile would be for a class of commons that would be considered health data commons, but then you're also looking at in this group creating some implementation specific profiles, so for specific infrastructures that already exist, as examples of that class of implementation profiles. So in these profiles, certain items are going to be elevated, maybe made more granular. You're going to add things to it, or you might also find that some items are not as relevant, and so you might downgrade them, make them more consolidated, or remove them. You will also include things like what is the actual implementation, so not just identifying what's more or less important in the model, but then it's saying some general procedures on the best practices on how things may be implemented or done, as well as including specific examples through those common specific profiles where folks have actually done this work. So making that those actions more visible and shareable so that we can actually have more of an interoperable space within the health data commons space. And then so you do each one of these things for health data commons, looking at them as a class, looking at each individual health data commons for specific examples to inform that class, and to ensure that you all have things that you can share with each other to identify those best practices. And so that's kind of the introduction for it. I'm going to pass it back over to the Health Data Commons GORC Profile Working Group co-chairs. I hope you have a great session.
So thank you, CJ. That was a 5-minute kind of elevator pitch of what we want to accomplish. And the way we're going to do that is through a set of deliverables. We will have a...
Why don't we, since
Sorry.
it's a relatively small group, why don't we see if
Yes.
Martha has any questions
For sure.
before we go to the next part? Martha, do you have any questions?
No, now it's clear. If I have any question, I ask you.
Okay,
Thank you.
back to you, Lars.
Perfect. Thanks, Bob. So the way we want to sort of try and get this up and running is through us generating a set of deliverables. One will be a scoping review of here it says country level health data. That was a bit of an old version of it. We're including a little bit more granular fits so that it can be part of current health data commons that are maybe on a smaller scale than a full nation, or doesn't have to be cross nation. If it's fantastic, of course, but if it's something else that is between a couple of universities or something like that, that can be just as valid to give us good idea of what current is out there and what they have published about it. So that's what the scoping review is for. Basically trying to get to see what's currently published about health data commons. And then the second deliverable is we will have a questionnaire, which we will hopefully be able to disseminate out to as many health data commons that are currently in operation or are being created as we speak. And this questionnaire is to complement what is already published about these, about different ones. It's to make more of things clear on what the needs of a health data commons is. And then, of course, it is the implementation profile that CJ was just talking about, which will be informed from the two previous ones, and also from the fourth output, which is a speaker series, which we hope to initiate, where we will have people coming from representing different health data commons and give a seminar series to anyone who is interested in learning about different types of these health data commons that exist today and what their struggles and needs are. And also a fifth one, which Bob actually lifted today, which was that the current definition that we had is a little bit too restricted, so that it excludes a lot of valuable health data commons because they're of the way the definition is formed. So we figure we should have a better definition that is more inclusive, so that it covers more of the commons that exists today. So what is the questionnaire? Now that's part 2. And the questionnaire, the goal of this survey or questionnaire is to complement the literacy search so that we can figure out what current and future health data commons share in terms of these essentials that we heard about before. The idea is also that if you know about another, once we start sending out the links to these surveys, our hope is that if you know of someone else working with health data commons that is not in your own organization, but you know that, oh, this is a health data commons, that you can pass it along so that it spreads out within the within the health data commons field, because we figure that there might be people who are in the field will know other people are working in the field within their region or their sort of collaborative spheres, and then they can pass that along without us having to know all of these information when we start. We just need to have a few that can snowball out. So that's the idea, is to use snowball sampling. So in order to generate this questionnaire, which will be a large survey with a lot of questions, we will split it. The idea is to split it over different types of interests, and we have where we have the domains of basic information, classification, and stage, which are questions related to what type of health data resource it is, funding and locations, which covers which funding sources we have, where the health data common is located, and so on. We have scope and focus, which tells us what the general scope is and what the focus of this particular health data common is, because there might be something like related to cancer or what it can subdisciplines or even broad things. Which services are provided, and then what data and research objects they handle. Are there any indigenous data considerations to be made? Accessibility and standards, interoperability challenges that the commons might have come in contact with, technical tools and infrastructures are questions related to this, governance and privacy, benefit sharing, success metrics and challenges, future goals and expansions of that health data commons, and participation in communities of practice and collaborative spaces. So this gives us a set of questions that we have been working on. I can show you the draft since we are already to see, and there you can see that there is about something like 56 different questions. So there's quite a lot of questions, which is why we want to split it over multiple surveys. So we want to have one general survey, and then we want to have a little bit more granularity so that not everyone needs to know how to answer all questions, and also not have to spend hours answering one big survey. So that leads us to point number 3, which is the open discussion. So the idea here was to have a Menti. I don't know if that will be particularly interesting to do with this few people, but we can run it if you guys feel it's interesting. What do you think, Marta? Do you think it would be interesting to go through this kind of questionnaire Menti, where we will kind of look into what the different roles are and what kind of how we feel about the importance of different domains of the questionnaire domains, how they should be split, and which if there's any other domains that we've missed, like question domains that we have missed. We want to keep it kind of on a high level rather than going into each specific question today, because going into every question would be very time consuming. It's better done by yourself by looking at the link of the document and coming with comments in that document at sort of your own pace and time. So let's do the Menti then.
It's just Martha and the co-chairs, right?
Yeah. So if we don't want to do the Menti, just say so, and I will skip it. I mean, it's completely up to you guys if you feel that it's better spent time to do something else when we want to discuss it.
I wonder if we should just have a discussion.
Yeah, we can do that. The idea was to use the Menti to help the structured discussion, but since we're so few, we don't really need it.
Yeah, we can always use the same questions. We can, but we don't necessarily need to use Menti as a structured tool since there's so few.
Yeah, exactly. We don't really need to. So we can just go around the room and talk about how.
Why don't we, since Martha came here, I think we should start with her.
Yeah,
Martha,
exactly.
are you involved in other RDA working groups? And if so, do you think there's a connection between some of the groups you're involved in and what we're doing in this working group?
Now I'm not in a working group. This is my second time in the plenary of the RDA. And for me is new this kind of meetings. I am now learning about this, and this meeting for me was important because it's about health. We are working about in a net that the specific topic is telemedicine, and now for me this information is very important to organize, to understand, and to share with my colleagues.
Okay. So that was one of the questions we had is, you know, you answered two of them. One is, you know, this snowball sampling. Have you put your name on the, on that list of possible, that list of commons? Have you put your name and system there? In that spreadsheet?
Not yet.
Why don't you want to do that now? Because that's useful. We don't want you to forget. So just take a minute to do that. That justifies this whole meeting if we get one more group. And do you know, why don't you put your name on this fancy sheet? Has a lot of color, so it should be kind of fun to enter your information there. And after you do that, we're gonna ask you if you know other platforms that should be listed here.
Yeah, you can see here that as an example, we have the EOS Health Data Task Force here. It's online. It says country, but country can also be could be South America. Right? Could be a big thing. Like for the EOS, it's Europe, and then there is sort of contact. So who can we contact? And of course, Ville has forgotten to give his email, but we will talk to him about it. He's the one that's creating the survey. So we already have his contacts, but a contact email for someone within that group, if it's yourself or if it's someone else, and just a general contact. It doesn't have to be anyone who is like in any specific position in the initiative, just someone we can contact who can help us reach the group, which probably in this case would be you. So yes, so if you put it somewhere here between line 41 and 49, it would be awesome. And if you know others organizations, of course, that would be excellent as
Yeah, I would just add that, especially if you know any other organizations within the Latin American countries, I think that would be a even better help, because I think all the ones that we do have so far are fairly Europe, North American heavy. So, you know, Canada and the US, but we don't really have much representation from Latin American countries.
no. We really hope that you feel included in our little group and want to come join us to work on this fantastic, what we feel is really fantastically important way of sharing health data information in a good and secure and way, and helping researchers realize these things through these health data commons. So I really hope you want to join us and join this working group as well. I'll let Bob take the lead again.
Thank you for putting that information there, and y- are there one or two, I can't tell if you've done that, are there one or two other groups in Latin America that you think we should contact?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. Now I have opened the document and I will complete it. Give me a minute because I
Yeah.
understand
It takes a
the
while. Oh, you've opened this document. Yeah, if you could put your information there, we'll wait a minute.
Yeah, for sure.
thank you. I have a question. And Rute is a net for different countries. Now I'm in Colombia, but there are people in another country, in Mexico, Chile, El Salvador, Costa Rica, Uruguay. In the column B, Latin America and the
Yeah.
Caribbean. The idea is introduced with Caribbean too.
Yeah, you can put both there. That's fine.
Okay.
It as long as it describes where you roughly are located or which regions you interact with, it can of course be multiple regions. I think when we made this list, we put country because the original idea was we were talking the original idea of this comes from the European health data space, the original definition, the original definitions, and that's why there are a bit more. Some of the columns become a bit weird when you actually bring it to a global scope. So just put that Latin America and Caribbeans or something like that in the country. That will be fine. Excellent.
Martha, have you,
Yes, I listen to.
okay. How much, you've gotten the basic information in there? Oh, okay. I think the main points of the discussion were threefold. One, to get this filled out. We can go over the questionnaire, but we've talked a little bit about that. And let me just bring the slides up again.
You want to share?
No, I think give me 1 second to page. Oh, I think we're also going to do a structured literature survey.
Yes.
And I think that's pretty important. I know there are quite a few and papers today on data commons and more being written. So I think having a literature survey would be useful, in particular. Well, for various reasons. If people have gone to the trouble of writing a paper, it's probably worth understanding that on a topic like this. Are there particular papers have you come across papers on data commons before, Martha?
No.
Okay. Let me just do one thing under Google.
So just to fill you in a bit, Bob, in terms of what's been done so far, so it's as Lars I think mentioned, the surveys literature search has been a bit of on pause a bit,
Right.
as Lauren was kind of leading that initiative. Hopefully, what we can sort it out and kind of get it started again. But what had happened is that Lauren had a search algorithm all set up and everything, because this is some work that she had kind of started ahead of time, kind of before the working group got started. And so we basically piggybacked or stepped in to kind of finish some work that had been done. They did some initial kind of abstract screening, but they hadn't done any sort of more thorough screening of relevant papers. And so between myself, Lars, and Lauren, we did some screening of the full text articles. But the current status basically is that we want to refresh the search because the search had been done quite some time ago. And so there's probably a fair amount or potential to have it be a fair amount of relevant articles that weren't captured because they've been published since the search had been done. And so the idea was to start the search process and screening process all over again, which that has yet to happen.
So, Elisa, what when you did the structure search, what sources did you search?
I don't. She was using. She had got it started in a system, Covenants. And so we kind of just, she gave us access to her searching in there, or at least the results. She had uploaded her search results in there. I don't know the back end of how she conducted the search.
Is that a commercial engine or it's a
Uh,
library search engine, or is it a commercial
it's
engine?
Covenants is a systematic review tool.
Oh, okay, gotcha. not my
I'm
area.
not, yeah, I'm not
But
sure exactly how she did this actual search.
how do you pronounce, how do you, what, can you spell the name of the tool or put it in chat?
Covidence, so Covidence. And then so the website is covidence.org.
Oh, it's not only a systematic review tool, it's a better systematic review tool and the world's #1 systematic.
Yeah. Yeah, I put a link to the website in the chat.
Is it
Yeah.
free or do you have to pay people lots of money?
It's not like there's a free trial, but it's free if you like kind of join it in a review. Lauren, I believe, has institutional access to it.
Yeah.
And so she had invited Lars and I to her project that she had already started through her institutional access.
And how many, about how many articles came back, roughly?
Thousands initially. I think, do you remember how many we got down? I think we got down to like maybe somewhere between 10 and 20 articles in total after all of the screening. I think maybe Lars
So
is.
this is the actual review. So you can see that there were 3,452 studies added to title and abstract screening, of which 42 duplicates were removed. You can see the details.
So there were 3,000, then when was this run?
So this was run before me and Alyssa got involved. So this was run by the European Health Data Space and was completed in 2023. But they kind of ran out of steam at that time, completed, so that the first import of references was done then. And then they did the title and abstract screening of the 3,452. They basically read them through. And
that was done automatically, right? Was that manual or
that was manual. They read through the abstracts and
3,000 abstracts and they got down to 26?
And then yes, they got it down.
Can you show me the 26 they have?
I will try. See where we are. So let me see if I can filter on something different than just the one that is for me.
Oh, Alyssa, you were involved in this too, right?
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested in this because I'm invested in what a data commons is and
yeah,
how we explain it.
So let me see. So that's not what we have. Here is the
I just want to remind you, it's a #1 tool and the easiest to use in the entire world. So this,
yeah. So you see how
I just
easy
want to
it is.
remind you of that, Lars.
So I just it's really easy to click on one and start reading and say whether or not you like it or not. As you can see, we have a couple of include criteria and exclude criteria of what we don't think is a health data commons. So papers that are about certain things should not end up here if they're basically just if they don't actually share any data between any other systems. If it's just a hospital, So one hospital's journaling system is not a
What
health
about
data.
UK Biobank? Is that a data commons? Because it doesn't share data with anyone.
Sorry?
UK Biobank.
Yeah, that would be,
That doesn't share data with anyone, but it's one of the most widely used platforms for health research.
yeah, they do share in that respect, that they are used as a platform for research by many different researchers.
Is
And
that
you get data
included
from
in
them.
the, but they don't interoperate with, well, they're starting to, is with, but the UK Biobank is included in, would be included in this sort
Yes.
of, okay.
And I mean, they have, I mean, you can get data from them. It's a bit complicated, but you can get
Well, I
data
mean, you
from
can,
them.
you can get aggregate data, but you can't get row level data, right?
I know of some researchers that can get raw level data, at least that were in Sweden.
Yeah.
Because I know
I
that there's been data
I thought
transfer
that-
to our systems.
But then are they still doing that? I mean, we should talk about that, because
Yeah,
I think they're pulling some of that data back.
yeah, that might be so, because this was maybe, I don't know, a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I
remember.
was just Australia, and they had a little bit of data from there for their national system.
So because I know that some people in Sweden also got
Yeah,
access to data from UK Biobank, but I know that it's really difficult to get data from that at the moment.
yeah,
But
it's interesting. Yeah, go on.
The idea is basically that we should exclude two small systems that don't really follow the commons principle, that basically don't contribute to research. It's just basically eliminating hospital non-sharing hospital journaling systems, so that
Gotcha.
it's so that you have at least something that kind of defines it. And
Well,
then there's a bigger inclusion criteria. And then I wonder how you can see.
well, that's enough for now. I mean, I
Yeah.
just did a Google Scholar search. There are a lot more articles now. So why don't we don't have to go the full 90 minutes, but why don't we take 5 minutes? What are we thinking of as a group? That includes you, Martha, for the next steps. I mean, it would be, I think it would be good and interesting to get a published paper, a literature review of data commons, especially since we're a data commons group. We could do a literature review of, that was a literature review of health data commons, right? But I think we're gonna have to start again if that's from 23. Is that
yeah.
a lot of work?
That was the idea. That the idea was that she was gonna run the search again.
Yeah. So I think for next steps, we should maybe see if we can contact Lauren in terms of, even if she can just share what her search criteria was, and then we can take it up from there and rerun the search, as because I know she's she's busy otherwise, but at least if we can get the search criteria that she used, we can update it accordingly and then rerun the search and take it from there.
Yeah,
and
I'd like to help you guys do that, just to represent, just to help you do it. I think it would be kind of
I
interesting.
think that would be excellent. And to be honest, one of the things that I find problematic with most of these is that since I don't speak that many languages so well, except for English and Swedish, which means that I'm limited in understanding, for example, excellent papers written in Spanish or in other languages. And I think we're sometimes missing a lot of excellent research that is being published in, for example, Spanish. So if we can have help from people that have that language knowledge and can help us with the reviews from that and translating sort of the gist of what they're saying, that would also, I think, be very valuable on a global scale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it is very English oriented, our way of doing these things. And I think we're missing some very important information sometimes.
Well, why don't we do the following? We can end a little early. Why don't we go around in the order? I've talked too much. Lars, you've had a lot to say. For Martha, Elisa, and Nina, and then finally, I'm not going to say anything more, but Lars, you get the final word. Martha first, any final comments or requests or suggestions?
No, thank you. Thanks for this opportunity for know you. And sorry for my English. I try to understand and to explain something about my job. And I promise I try to review the documents in English and to share something about our job. Thank you.
Thank you. Elisa,
Excellent.
you were pretty quiet and you're one of the experts. Any comment?
Yeah, this is a good little small group that was some good discussion. In terms of, as I suggested, I can take the head on trying to reach out to Lauren to see if I can get a some idea of what her search terms that she used were, so that we can kind of kickstart the literature review process again. And then I can reach out to anyone interested, and I could even, maybe put a post or a call in for the literature review within the RDA group, just so that because I agree with you, Lars. I myself do not speak any other languages really other than English. And so, but I do think, it would be good to have representation from people that understand other languages, just so that we can have a good global perspective of what all the literature has, even if it's not written in English.
Nina, do you have anything to add?
If I may, I'm a big fan of bibliometrics analysis, so it's really useful to define terms that can really be dependent of communities. So I think it's also a good starting point to have a look, like with I know the database Web of Science, and you can have a pretty useful tool to see all the terms associated to another one, and to have like thematic maps. And then it can also open the mind of the different domain related to health data, and maybe find comments. So I will also maybe explore this part.
I have a suggestion. So, Alice, when you have reached out to Lauren, I think we should have a work group meeting where we give a call on our work group. So if you're following the work group, you will see a event sort of pop up, and we'll say, this is the work group meeting, and then we organize a work group meeting that fits best in time with most people.
Including me, because I care about this.
Yes, that's sort of what I'm trying to say, is that I'm willing to stay up quite late if it means that I get you guys on the call.
Thank you.
So, because like, don't make it European centric just because I happen to be in Europe. I'm quite willing to do work-based, and I also have easy ways to compensate for it. So for me, it is, I care about this group a lot, and I really want this to be working. And I think you guys have excellent things to bring to the table. So for my sake, you don't have to do it, but we can of course alternate a little bit, of course, as we see fit. But we can start at least at some point where it's a little bit more convenient for you guys once you've figured out, once we've contacted Lauren and gotten her results. I think is a good starting point. But it shouldn't be too long. Like, we can't wait for too long if she hasn't the possibility to answer, because she might not have.
Yeah.
She might not be in a position to answer. So we should wait maximum a couple of weeks
Yeah.
for the next meeting, working group meeting, I think. And
yeah,
that,
exactly. I can maybe send out an email to her tomorrow, or
yeah,
even
that would be
today, and then if we don't get an answer, we'll just try and come up with our own search terms.
Yeah, we will come together and come up with a good literature review, structured way. And then I think, and for the questionnaire, I know that Villa is busy the next week, so maybe with a week after the week or two after we have done the meeting on the literature review, we can have the sort of working meeting of getting the actual surveys up and running at
Yeah, because there was a few other people that
he will sit and actually put, because we actually have a start of that. So we have a survey start.
okay.
Where you can just go in and fill out that sort of a test profile at the moment.
Okay, yeah, that's good that was done, because I remember that was kind of a takeaway from that someone said that they would take on. So it's good to see that they actually managed to get it done.
That. And then
yeah, great.
Once we've done that, he can create any survey we like in this format with kind of open questions and things like this. And then we can start running the surveys. But I think we can do that in a couple of weeks when he's back from other work he's busy with, EGI. So
Okay.
But we do have we have a space, and we have the possibilities to add as many services as we like. And this is the good thing about this is that it is the compliant with all the fancy rules on data privacy and so on and so forth. Because it's hosted within the EGI's own machines and things like that.
Well,
okay.
I think we should give people back 15 minutes of their time.
Yep.
I thought it was a pretty interesting session we had. Martha, thanks for working with us.